Contract activity soared this week, sending a really neat ripple effect through the data. And we're going to look at price drops and what that tells us about the market. So we're covering that and more in this week's report. As always, thanks for taking a few minutes to join us for our weekly look at real-time market insights into our local housing market. My name is Scott Parker. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing here at John Green Realtor, and I'll be taking you through this week's findings. So here's new listing activity, and good news is that after last week's big bump, we stayed pretty steady week over week. So 2 weeks in a row where we've had a pretty encouraging uptick in properties coming to the market. Here's under contract activity, and as we predicted in last week's report, following a big spike in new listing activity, we got a very big spike in contract activity this week, and it almost matched the contract activity for the same week last year, as you can see on the end of the chart there. So, which we certainly haven't seen in a while. So that really speaks to the latent demand that is out there, but that when we do see a big spike in inventory, there are ready, willing, and able buyers pouncing on it, and that continues to be the trend as we move into the late spring market here. And this chart certainly supports that as well. Here's showing activity. This graph gives us a great forward-looking indicator because these are active buyers. Showing activity is active buyers that are out there looking at homes that are going to turn into contracts in the upcoming weeks and months. So that activity has held up nicely versus last year. So it feels like there's still plenty of gas in the tank. And as long as we keep getting a decent amount of new inventory, the buyers are out there to go view these properties. Let's look at off-market activity here next. And the reason we look at this one is because this graph represents those active listings that decided to come off the market without a successful sale. So if we see a huge spike in this graph, it likely means that the market could be turning on us a little bit. So we did see a little bit of an uptick here, which was a little surprising, but it's important to kind of keep everything in context. We're coming off a level of this metric that is so historically low that I don't think there's much to read into this unless that upward trend continues. So we're going to watch that closely in the upcoming weeks. This graph depicts balance in the market. So 60% on the graph is normal. 100% would be kind of way out of balance. And this number is all over the place. It kind of bounced back down more towards normal last week, but then snapped right back up because of that massive spike in contract activity we got this past week. So here we had an off-market activity. So this gives us a feel for the total market. How many homes are leaving versus how many homes are coming to the market. And same trend here, big bounce back with the uptick in contract activity and that little uptick that we saw in off-market activity as well. So here's a quick update on price decreases, as I promised in the opener. So that percent of this is the percent of sellers that are having to reduce their price from their original list price. And it's a great market signal because a seller doesn't reduce their price unless they aren't getting activity or offers for their property. And what's interesting is nationally, we saw this huge increase in price decreases late in 2022, but our local market, as you can see here, we really didn't see that. It was pretty similar year over year, and it looks like we're going to kind of trough out at or maybe around less than 20% of listings having to make a price change, which is really anemic historically. So even as sellers get bullish with list prices, as we've seen through the spring, we are seeing those list prices hold up and homes go under contract. So huge spike in contracts following a strong new listing week, and we're likely to see that again next week. So we'll see if that prediction holds, and sellers are rarely having to reduce price to find a buyer. So as always, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you here again next week.